Good morning. Happy Monday. It is not Friday. It is Monday, January 19th. Welcome to Coffee and a Card. I am Lorraine Sish, and I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator in the Baltimore area. So welcome, whether you are joining me live, excuse me, or watching the replay. I usually go live on Fridays, but this last Friday was the third Friday of the month, and that is when I do my cards for troops at a local coffee shop. Speaking of coffee, I've got my beverage, my little sunshine, and hopefully you're getting some sunshine either with the weather or in your heart and having a great day no matter what. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Hello, Tina and Susan and Cindy, some of my regular Stampin' friends. So glad you could be with me today. And as some people are hopping on, I just wanted to remind everybody that there is a little more time left for the special things that Stampin' Up is offering this month. Bonus day coupons, excuse me, spend $50 and you can get a $5 coupon. Okay. For the product of the month, spend $75 and you can have the option of purchasing the product of the month for just $5. This month, the product of the month is a sentiment stamp set. We all need those. And it's kind of nice when you have a stamp set that just all sentiments all in that one stamp set. So you don't have to look around for all your stamp sets and say, now, which one had the happy birthday? Which one had the print? Which one had the script? Which one was the right size? So sometimes, when you have a whole set of just sentiments, it's a nice go-to, right? So that's a nice thing to have. The blue paper, true blue paper, which, got paper all over the place. This one here is still available from the December product of the month. When there is left over, you will be, you can have the option of getting either one. So if you did not get this in December, you are eligible to choose it as one of your product of the month for January, okay, until it sells out. And then if you spent another $75, you can pick the other product. All right, so you're only allowed to get one. So I got this one in December, so I could not pick it in January. But anyway, it's beautiful, and a lot of nice blues in there. And let me show you a card that one of my downlines sent me using that paper. So those flowers are nice and big and are beautiful for fussy cutting those out. So isn't that nice? There's a brick embossed layer, and then there's a cardstock layer, a full coverage of the front. It's a white card base, but the whole front is covered with the lighter blue, looks like balmy blue paper. And that part is embossed as well. So a beautiful card made with that true blue designer paper. $5 for the whole pack. All right, so that's a good deal. Good morning. Hello, Felicia. The snowy Pennsylvania. Oh, we got a little snow, a little dusting yesterday. How much snow do you have? I know it's kind of off and on here. Okay, Susan was having some cold weather in Florida too. I heard there was some snow in Georgia even, right? So I don't know what Susan was getting. But welcome everybody. Hi, Judy. Nice to see you today. And Susan made it. Yay. Susan, a fairly new stamper with me, and she is just hopping right on the bandwagon and so excited to learn new things. And I love that enthusiasm. So welcome. And Susan and some of my other friends were on my craft along a couple days ago, and I was encouraging people to just bring a set or a suite so that we can work together. I would, share some layouts and some ideas for creating designs on your cards, and we'd make a few together as we chit chat and learn more about some stamping tips and tricks and share. So it was really, really, really nice. The suite that I use was what I've been featuring this past week was the Lovely Arrangements stamp set here and the Lovely Blossoms Designer Series paper, which the more I playing with it, I just can't stop. I love it. I love the soft color palette. The flowers are just pretty. You've got a couple flowers, some leaves, and sentiments. What more do you need, right? But what really sold me on this was the dies. You can obviously cut out the things that you stamp. You have a couple of banners for your sentiment. You have a couple of standalone leaves, which is fabulous. I'm going to show you those today. And there are 2 background dies that you can use on your cards too as layers. So I'm going to show you some cards with those today too. All right, we're going to be busy. So welcome everybody. Hello, Patty. Hello, Pat. Nice to see you on today. Welcome. Grab your beverage. I gave you some materials to possibly craft along if you would like to. That's something that I do with my normal Mojo Monday group. It's a group of some personal friends of mine, and many have been stamping with me for, oh goodness, over about 25 years or close to it, between 20 and 25 years, depending on when they came into the group. So just the other day on Saturday, 1987. Yeah, Saturday was my Stampin' anniversary. 23 years. I've been a demonstrator and haven't looked back since. No regrets whatsoever. It's amazing how my role as a demonstrator has changed. I just did it for the discount, like most demonstrators, and then I had a few customers. My friends were customers, and just kind of hanging out and doing, going with that flow. And then once I retired and moved to Baltimore and COVID hit, I decided to get the online presence, and things are just blossomed from there. So it's amazing how life kind of leads you in certain directions, and it usually works out just fine. You can find ways, right? So hello, Debbie. Good morning. So anyway, we when we meet Mojo Monday, we've been doing it since COVID hit. That way we're able to get together. I give a list of some materials. I don't show the project. It's kind of a surprise, kind of like what mystery stamping is like. And then the girls craft along with me. I show usually 1 card or variations of, and they craft along with me if they can, or if they want to, or they just watch the recording later. So that's kind of what we're doing today. So I popped in my coffee and a card where I usually do my Mojo Monday, and some of my friends are on watching here that normally do the Zoom with me. So this is what we do with them. I give them the materials, and you just bring what you have. It doesn't have to be the same stamp set, which shows the versatility of the products that we have, right? So, so welcome everybody. We're going to still be using the Lovely Arrangements, the Lovely Blossoms, because I didn't get to finish that one on Friday. Then moving forward this week, I'm going to switch to another stamp bundle or suite. I waffling between 2 different ones, so I'll keep you posted on that. Okay, good morning, Nikki. Welcome. Oh, thanks, Debbie. Congratulations, quite an accomplishment. Yeah. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, who would have thought? You told me 23 years ago I'd be here. Would never have thought it. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee, and then we're going to turn the camera around and get started. Okay, so we're doing 2 cards, and let me switch my view here. All right, I've made this a little wonky. You have to do extra steps to switch. There we go. All right. Hopefully that's all good. All right, now I can see everything. Get my phone out of the way. My pocket's a good place for it. Otherwise, I'm looking all over. Where's my phone? Have to call myself on the phone. And anyway, all right. So let me review a little bit of some cards that you may have seen. If you're on Facebook, you might have seen these already. These are some cards I already did with this beautiful suite. Last Monday, Mojo Monday, I made these double layer slider cards. That's the word. This one is one that I did many years ago. That's the same concept. Pull it up, and then you have the double layers, this and this. You have the background, and you have your sentiment right there. So isn't that cool? I just love that design, so I decided to apply it to this new suite here. Some I put a little tag up the top. Some I just left a thumb hole, go to pull. So here they are in action. I didn't put a video up of these before, but you can't help but play with them, right? You have to go, oh, look at that, in and out. Once isn't enough. You have to keep playing with it. But I just think this suite and these cards just work so beautifully with this design. So then if you wanted to, you can sign your name here, or you can just write on the back. You can add another piece of white if you feel your cardstock is too dark for writing your message there. Okay, this is just kind of like a pocket, so it doesn't open and stand up, but your friends can always prop it up against something. So this suite has a limited color palette, which is kind of good in a way, because you are not so overwhelmed with, oh, what color should I use, or which one works best with this, and this paper doesn't have the other color. This is Cloud Cover, Petal Pink, Crumb Cake. Oh, here's another one, the Old Olive. Okay, here's another one that pulls up, right? So I just love those. And Secret Sea. So kind of limited. You have some dark, you have some light pastels, so you get some contrast with those. Okay, so you like those cards? I just love, love, love. So see what I mean? How beautiful. And this designer paper has some patterns that you can use as your background, right? Like I did here. And then I stamped, obviously, and die cut out the flowers. There are some matching embellishments, of course. This saying came with the stamp set, and also the that oval, that little banner came with the die set. This sentiment came with the stamp set, as well as did this teeny tiny thin die for that sentiment. So that's really kind of nice. You don't have to cut something so thin, and has a little raised border on it, which is very nice. This piece here was just a piece from the designer paper. There was a panel there that you could just cut that out, bam, slap that on your card, and you're done. Add your sentiment and all good. This was just a piece of the 12 by 12 paper, so just using your designer paper as a focal point works, right? And then here's another panel that was on the same sheet as that. So let me show you what that looks like, the whole thing, because then we're going to show you that you do have options. Okay, some people say, oh, I don't know where to begin. Well, here's a quick, easy way to begin. You have some 4 by 6 inch panels that you can put straight flat onto your card, like I did here. All right, beautiful card, right? Just cut this down a little bit because I wanted 5.5 tall. Kept the 4 inch wide, but this is 6. Notice it's half the sheet of the 12 by 12. And all I did was I trimmed off a little bit off the bottom, a little bit off the top. Okay, that 1/4 inch. I flipped it over because that's what's on the back, the little stripes. Flipped it over, and I stamped my sentiment right on that scrap, so to speak. So simple, nice, easy card. I didn't put a white sheet inside there yet, but I will. And then I used my embellishments to bring in more of that balmy blue, because otherwise there was no balmy blue on there. So just to kind of tie in that color. So the embellishments are called Moody Palette Glossy Dots. Comes in Secret Sea, Old Olive, Cloud Cover, and up at the top there's white. So look how easy that is. You could use any of these just as your card front and add to it as you will. So another idea with this one here, where is that card now? Trying to find the one that I use. I wanted to do one in crumb cake, and maybe it's over here. Hold on. Well, it'll turn up. I've got a lot of stuff to show you today. I wanted to do a card in crumb cake, but I didn't want it to be quite so plain. So basically what I did was, I hated to do it too much, but it's really something that I wanted. I just used this as a layer. I ended up covering up this flower simply so that I could use this background, which looks sort of like a linen look. Use that as my background, a layer to my card. So okay, so this, notice I cut that down. And there was another card where I actually cut the bottom and use that as a strip across my card. So you don't have to use them just whole like this. You can use pieces of them if you like to. And then the one that I cut down, I could just mount as a smaller element on my card, or I could kind of fussy cut around there. It's not all that difficult. Fairly easy cut, not too detailed. But I will find those later and we'll get them done. So one thing that I did with my other sheet, you get, I think, 3 or 4 designs in this set. So I just cut all these panels out and then kind of worked and played around with them. I took card bases for each of the colors. Okay, Secrecy, Plum Cake, Petal Pink, Cloud Cover, Old Olive, made card bases. And then from there, just kind of played around, mixed and matched, to see, which colors I wanted to use where. These were the bigger ones, obviously. And then there are some sheets that are just our typical designer paper, full 12 by 12s of the same pattern and some backgrounds. Here were some of my leftovers of the little squares that are down at the bottom. These are 2 by 2 inch squares, and these are what inspired me to do one of the cards I'm going to do with you next. All right, and then here are some that are a little bit smaller that you can use as your focal point, like I showed you on this type of card. Okay, just mount it, and it's just beautiful. I think it's a very classy look. Okay, so let's get started. Yep. So here are the medium-sized ones. You can kind of mix and match, play around with those, and just have fun with it. I was thinking of it last night. Sometimes it's, we like hoarding our beautiful papers. Like, oh, I have to do something extra special, blah, 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 blah. Well, I think a good way to think about it is give yourself permission to just take a sheet and have fun with it. All right, something like that sheet is fine. Take a couple of sheets that have other patterns and say, you know what? I'm just going to go rogue and have fun with this, right? It's only paper. If you cut something a little bit wrong size, or you decide, I don't like that after all, well, then you'll use it for something else. It's not going to go to waste, right? And if you think about it, the cost per sheet, not really a big ticket item when you are able to make so many different cards with it. Okay, the die cuts, I had cut this down. This I cut in vellum. Look at that. Remember I showed you those circles there? There are 24 of them, 6 rows of 4, or 4 rows of 6. 6 times 4, 24. This one I had cut down. I had cut a little corner off. I cut a row off here. I cut it like an L. So I actually cut this and this off, and I used it on another layer. use it as a corner on one of my cards. So let me show you that. I thought this was kind of a fun idea. So rather than using that whole piece and hiding it underneath that beautiful little panel, this was a whole panel from that particular sheet, I just cut the corner. So now I made a little scalloped edge on that corner, layered it underneath my focal point, put another piece of this olive green, didn't even measure it, just happened to have that handy. I just, maybe trimmed the bottom off to fit, overlapped them, and it became a beautiful card. This ribbon here is actually from the Cute as a Bug suite. Okay, but because it's the old olive and it had the scallops on it, I thought it tied in nicely with the scallops here. So that's another idea for using those. One other idea that we discussed at the craft along was when you die cut this out, you have little diamond shapes that are left. Save them as to put in a shaker card, or you can, I actually have a little container here that I saved some. You can actually inlay them if you have the patience. You can actually inlay those into the holes using a different color, of course. So I did some in the Secret Sea, and so using my putty end of my pick tool, I could pick up those pieces pretty easily. If I put a dot of glue behind it on my card, then we could just put some nice little inlays there and get another look. Isn't that fun? All right, see that? I don't know if I could pick that up without falling out. Kind of. All right, so there you go. All right, fill them all in, do some random ones. That's another fun look. So I have just one of these little containers. I bought a whole sleeve of these on Amazon to hold my little pieces of stuff here and there. Let me just poke those out for now. I'm just giving you some random ideas before we get our card, which will be done in a minute. We'll get started on that in a second. Okay. Then that other die gives this little eyelet look as well. And I actually don't have a card yet made with this, but it really is quite pretty. Here it is in the petal pink, and then here it is in the vellum, which would make a very nice layer. You can also, I was thinking, double layer them, offset them a bit, and that gives a nice effect as well, kind of a two-tone effect, where the little openings are offset and gives you a little bit more interest. So some ideas for that. I'm going to try to stay organized or not have stuff quite all over the place, but that's kind of half the fun, right? Just being consumed and just all your fun things around you. It's really fun. So here's a card we did at the craft along. We did this element here, and then we said, well, there's many options. We could be a vertical card, horizontal. We could put another panel of cardstock here, or another layer behind it, or just put a sentiment down here. So lots of options. Just start with, I was suggesting, just start with kind of a square, and then kind of go with it from there. Add strips, add squares, add circles. So this is where I use those dies. Hi, Gail. Hi, Kathy. I use those, that circle die, Secret Sea, and the vellum, and I just, kind of made an L with them. I overlapped them in the different directions. So if you can see down here, you can see the scallop a little bit below here. And remember, with vellum, because it is see-through, you have to kind of hide where you put your adhesive, so it's not going to show through the vellum. So obviously this piece is holding down the vellum here, so I didn't have to put any glue over here. It is just kind of loose. So how they're offset so that you can see them in different directions. I love how that turned out right there. This piece is raised up on dimensionals to give it a little bit more interest. All right, then here's another card that we did. Again, just kind of start with a rectangle or a square. You pick out a focal point, whether it's a die cut or something you fussy cut. We fussy cut this with vellum, and just overlap them with different size pieces of designer paper, and offsetting them a little bit, and you get an interesting look. We decided to mat this designer paper with a very thin piece of the Secret C. Two reasons. One, it offsets it from what's behind it. It really makes it pop, stand out like an outline, and it ties in the Secret C with the circle and the card base. So you want to kind of have a flow, not have anything too too lopsided one way to the other, too much of one color and not enough of the other. So that's something there too. Hey, good morning, Shirley. Okay. Thank you so much for your comments. I love when you're doing that. We're great on your A6. Yeah, Cindy, good idea. Great. Glad you're liking the ideas. Yeah, Stampin' Up. You are right, Kathy. Stampin' Up always has beautiful paper, and like I said, we kind of hoard it because it's so pretty. But you know what? Before you know it, there'll be more beautiful paper coming out. So I'm kind of trying to get in that mindset of use it, have fun with it. Okay, yeah, you can look at it and that brings you joy, but start playing with it. You are amazed. You'll be amazed at how much you can really, really get out of a sheet of designer paper. When I say, okay, I'm going to use this up, like some of my old stuff, old stuff, I have a hard time using it up because it's like, oh, wow, okay. I made all these cards and I still have some left over. So it's just a lot of fun. So I'm going to put some of these back here, and there we go. Clean up a little bit. I hope you like those ideas, and we'll get going on today's card. And this is an example where I started with a certain card. I wanted to use these squares down here, or take any patterns and cut them into 2-inch squares. Okay, they don't have to be these, but I had these. So that's what I used for this next card. So who's crafting along? Is anybody crafting along with me today? Oh, thank you, Susan. Thumbs up, hearts. It's all good. It really helps my reach on Facebook and or YouTube. And the more interaction, the more comments, the more reactions. Each of those platforms pushes my work out to more people. So I do love that. It's fantastic. I was happy to reach the 22,000 on YouTube last week, and I'm obviously higher than that now. So that it's slow, but it's all fun. It's all good. Okay, so if you're crafting along, I'm not going to go super slow. I'm not going to go super fast, but you can always watch the replay. At least you have an idea. If you have your pieces cut, then it should be fairly easy to keep up. You need a card base. So this is our typical card base that I like to make. So it's half a sheet of cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5 tall, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, you could of course do cut a sheet the other way so it opens at the top like another flap, but it's okay. It's up to you. As long as you have your card base and you have that kind of a front. All right, then we're going to take a piece of white that is 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to emboss it. I'm going to use Beautiful Pattern, which is part of the Brushed with Beauty suite. That's one of the suites I'm going to be using sometime soon in the future as well, because it's so pretty. Again, it's kind of like the peachy colors and greens, very springy, and it has some bold accents on it. Some of the patterns are nice and bold, and some are more delicate. So just gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm going to emboss that. It's going to be subtle because our designer paper is going to be the star of the show. So I don't want this to be too distracting. This is, I'm not sure if you can, well, I'll show you the front. It has this crisscross stitched look with some little flowery type design in the middle of those crisscrosses. And because it is a regular shape, I am going to try to line it up pretty straight. It's not a random thing where I don't care if my paper's crooked or not. So I love that Stampin' Up! Has this line down here. It helps you make it a little easier to align it straight. And if you are a bit OCD about things like this, you can even center it left to right by looking at where those lines crisscross and put your paper there so that your pattern looks more even and symmetrical. So, but most people probably won't notice. They're just going to look at what a beautiful card. Okay, so you need your base plate because this is a 3D embossing folder. Oh, I wanted to mention, it does not say 3D on the package for this one. I don't know if that was a goof or they just didn't put it. I don't know. It does say 3D. It's an online exclusive. It does say 3D in the description online, but it doesn't say so on the package. So I wrote it on there, but you can always tell a 3D embossing folder because it is very stiff, not very flexible, right? The ones that are not 3D are way more bendable and obviously much thinner because they wouldn't bend if they were, unless they were like that. All right, so now I need my gray plate to, did I put that away? Oh, hold on one second. I think I put it over here. No, not totally away, just off to the corner of my table. All right, so I'm going to run that through my embossing machine. Okay, and this is such a sweet pattern. Like I said, very subtle, very light stitching, very delicate. So this is a way I like to store my embossing folders. The name of the pattern is not on the folder itself, so I get my label maker and I put a label up there. So that way it's easier for me when I have it out to remember what the name is. And also, when I put it back in the envelope with the paper, I cut down the front label. These are usually, the front and the back of that sleeve are usually the same size, but I cut it down about 1/2 inch so that I can see that name up at the top rather than down here. So when I'm flipping through my little container, my drawer or bin, I can see the name way up on top. Okay, so it's a little bit more visible. And I could use any any help with visibility that I can get at this point. Okay, anything that makes it a little bit easier. All right, so we're going to glue this down onto our card front. Okay. All right, I think I need to glue here. I might have dried up a little bit in the in the tip. Let me just get my pin in here. All right, there we go. It's running a little low, but there should be plenty in here still. There we go. Got it flowing. Needs a little encouragement sometimes. Now remember, if you have a deeper pattern on your embossing folder and what you're laying down has a lot of highs and lows to it, then make sure you put plenty of glue on there because the parts that are more raised are the parts that are going to accept the glue the most and be touching the paper, right? So you want to make sure that you have enough on there. All right, so now we are going to take a few of those squares that I was talking about before. And let's see, is this where they are? No, that's the next card. Okay, see, all for being prepared. Are these the ones I used? Okay, these were not the ones I want, but that's okay because I'm going to cut a new sheet. It's all good. So I want to make it the same as my model because I just thought it came out so pretty. And that way I am more comfortable giving away one of the cards if I already have my sample. Sometimes if it's a one of a kind, it's like a child, you know, it's like, oh, I love this card and I really want this special person to have it, but I hate to get rid of it also. All right, so I'm just going to cut that strip off and I'm going to use 3 of those across the my card. So I'm going to take this one and this one and this one. So just because I'm going with the blues, I want to keep with the blues. We have a little bit of the green in there with the flower. And just lining up that where it's split there with my chattel on my paper. I'll put this aside for another time. Sometimes you might be slightly off and you need to just take a hair, a sliver off the edge. I guess I did all right there. Got it just fine. Sometimes you might see a little hint of the light blue or a little hint of the green, but you can always tweak that. That's okay. So now I have 3 of those left over. I'll use them another time. Using those. And we are going to take 3 of these, and because at 2 by 2, they don't totally fit straight down a card. That was my original intent, to do a design like this, but to do that I would have to cut them down to maybe 1.5 or so to do something like this, which would look very pretty as well. Just use smaller squares. But I said, you know, let me try to figure out something I kind of like. What if we just offset them a little bit more random look? So think about which one you want to stand out the most. And that one's going to be on the upper side. And then offset the others. Notice if you think of your card dividing it up, this one is definitely, I'm going to put it so that's evenly spaced in the corner there. This one is going to have less space here because I do want that random look. And then this one is going to be someplace in between. Now we're going to put a focal point over here. We're going to put some flowers over here. So I'm not going to glue these down yet because I want to see the size of my flowers. So we're going to die cut. We're going to stamp and die cut some of those flowers from the stamp set. Okay. So I was telling some girls this week, this is one thing that I did since we Stampin' Up does not have these backings on the stamps like we used to with the DVD cases. I just made my own. I stamped onto some cardstock. I put the thinner window sheet down onto the cardstock with just some glue dots in the corners and one in the middle. And now I can kind of see where they go. So when I lift this up, they stick mostly to the, not all the time, but stick mostly to the big one. And then I could pick up the flowers or the stamps that I need. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my big flower with Secret C. Right, like that. And I'm going to do the other flower, Secret Sea. Just like that. And we'll die cut those out. Let me clean these off. So if you are stamping along, hello, Lynn, nice to see you. What was I going to say? I got distracted. That's okay. Nice to see Lynn here. If you are stamping along, what stamp set or designer paper are you using? I would like to know. So one other thing, when you put these back, make sure they're clean. And if you're using them a lot, the backs of here, you can feel it gets a little gritty, or from the paper fibers. Give it a good cleaning. Soap and water, or just take your chamois nice and clean and wipe it off, and then it will stick to your plastic a lot better. Okay, oops, this would go the other way. There we go, just like that. And now let's take our dies and take those frames, cut them out. Okay, you'll make it later. Okay, good. I mean, yeah, a good way to use up your scraps. Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to tape these down with washi tape because I do not want them to shift as I put them through the die cut machine. And this can work with, like most of our projects, it can work with a lot of different die sets. Do it with animals, do it with the bugs, do it with, we have the gears and textures, which, gives, that nice masculine look. That could work too. Use some nature elements. All right. All good. Let's put this through. We need, I need more space. That's what I need. Okay, plate number 1, plate number 2, plate number 3. You can see this one's well used from my Christmas card, but it's still working, so it's all good. Keep flipping your plates so that they don't warp so much in one direction. Run that through. Okay, so before I glue anything down, I like to kind of lay it out, see where things should be spaced. All right, next I definitely wanted more of a random spread out look. Flowers are going to go down here in the corner, and I want to not hide all of these corners. I want the person who's seeing it to think, oh yeah, there are 3 squares there. It just, if I don't want to like cover up both of those. I just want that look of the squares to kind of show through. So either have your element higher, and then you can see 2 sides here, 2 points here, or down here, which is what I kind of like better. But just kind of think about those things. The flowers will go there approximately. We're going to cut out some leaves. Now I could stamp the leaves and then cut them out with this frame die here. Or another option is to take these standalone dies. Standalone meaning they don't coordinate with the stamp. And I'm going to use another piece of that designer paper that is this looks linen-like in the old olive color. So I'm going to actually cut these leaves out of that paper there. I'm not trying to get to my garbage. All right. So I'll put those through. They're not lining up with anything special, so I don't feel I need the washi tape. Okay, so it's going to give me those leaves in the old olive, but that kind of texture from the designer paper. Now these are very delicate. They are split in the middle to show off where the veins of the leaf would be. So you want to be careful, obviously pulling them out. There's a very delicate stem, but also where you're putting your glue. You don't want to put too much of your glue right where those splits are. So I like to put the dots, just little dots of glue around those slits. All right, so even though it's kind of a linen pattern, it's giving us some texture that our leaves might have in nature. Okay, put your dies back. I'm still looking for one that I have here on my, I have it taped to my laptop because it came off of something. I'm not quite sure what yet. I haven't racked my brain and really looked real hard through everything. It might have come off something that was on the last chance list that I was weeding out, or retired, because I don't think it's in anything current. I think I looked at that. All right, so I'm going to figure out where to put these. I like to use tweezers. Some people like reverse tweezers, meaning, here they are. They're closed when you're not squeezing, and when you squeeze it, they open. So some people like using those, which is good, which is fine. Sometimes I feel I feel a little dyslexic sometimes because I'm used to pinching them closed. Kind of a funny, stupid thing. But anyway, I'm going to get an idea of where I want my flowers to go. A couple leaves there. Maybe another leaf here, over here. I'm not sure. I could go over here, actually, too. Could go like that. So you can figure out where you want that. Then we need our sentiment. So I'm going to take that, just a note, and I'm going to show you one other thing. Before I realize it, my clear blocks get really gunky. There's pieces, little bits of glue on there that they get cloudy, and when I try to straighten something, I say, "Oh, is that a mess on my cardstock, or is it on the block itself?" One thing that works really well, hand sanitizer. This is just store brand, and you can put a little bit on your block or a little bit on a lint-free rag and rub it onto your block. And then once I do that, I say, "Oh my goodness, why was I stamping with that dirty block for so long?" And it smells nice too. So all of a sudden, now you have a really shiny, clean block, right? And disinfected hands. Okay, so, and also your stamps are going to stick better when it's clean, right? So we're going to do just a note in Secret C. I'm going to make a tiny banner to fit in there. Okay, this is just half an inch. I could use the die to cut that out if I wanted to, but I'm just going to go with this because I want to do a little banner cut at the end, and the die for this sentiment would be way too small for cutting the banner. I didn't want it quite that small on this card. All right, just so I can show you where we're going with this, I'm going to cut this a little longer because I'm going to tuck it under the flowers. I want it to look like it's coming from behind the flowers because, of course, we're going to put this up on some dimensionals. All right, so I want it to come out of there, so I don't want to see this left end, so I'm leaving that end a little longer. I'm going to cut a banner cut on the side here. Let me cut this just a little shorter. Now, those of you who don't know how to do a banner cut freehand, just make a little slit down the middle and then go from each corner to the bottom of that slit. And then you have it pretty much centered. Okay, so I think that looks a little prettier than just the regular cut. All right, so now that's the layout of the card, and we're going to glue it all down. Now, if you have, here's another hint, another helpful hint. If your embossing is a more defined, you know, hardy cut into the emboss part, you might want to consider mounting these squares on cardstock because it's very thin, the designer papers, and when you press it down onto your, good morning, Michelle, onto your embossing, it might, if you press it down too hard, it might, what's raised might show through the designer paper. That's what I'm trying to say. Right, so be careful. I had to be careful with my sample in that manner, and I'll show you that one in a little bit. So that's going back on there. I'm going to start gluing these down. Now I'm remembering that this block here is underneath. All right, so when I'm doing something like this, sometimes I take a picture so I can remember how it's all laid out. I already have my other sample, so and I've done this a couple times, so I don't need to do that right now. But if you have it just right and you don't want to mess it up, then take a picture and then go from there. So this one's a little bit off center, left to right, and maybe about an inch high. So I'm going to glue that one down first. There we go. Okay, so that was about there. Of course, we can tweak, oops, where the flowers are going later. That doesn't have to be an exact science. All right, so then these are going to go like that. Michelle, I've been thinking about you lately. I've been using a little pouch, daisy pouch that you gave me. I've been using that recently. I use it off and on, but I've been using it again recently. And it's just so sweet. Love it. It's great for holding some of my markers when I'm bringing things to another part of the house, or to hold some tools when I'm traveling. Look how sweet this is. I love it. The black and white and the daisies. So lots neat. So thank you, Michelle. You've been on my mind. Okie dokie. So now let's get our flowers and our sentiment, the big one's going first. And that's going to go there. So I am going to glue this down first. I can see where it's going to be, just a little bit off from that square. Hold my flowers on there. I want to keep that corner showing. That, I don't know, it's just, for some reason, it just makes it look better to me. I don't know. Okay, and I will put this underneath like that. So I'm going to glue both of these, add glue to both of these things and then put them down at the same time. Another option is to glue it to the flower itself, but then you have to know which direction you're going and how far in to put it. So something like that could work. Yeah, anyway, so I could adjust it as I go. I'm going to glue them down both at the same time. And like I said, these, I'm just going to put some dots on the, avoiding those slits. And for this, I will use my tweezers to kind of hold that. I don't want this going off the page, so that's one consideration. think, shoot. I think that will work like that. What do you think? Look nice? And then before that dries too much, I'm going to put the other leaf maybe over here. So it's kind of overlapping those things a little bit. I can still sneak the stem underneath the flower. That's one nice thing about the liquid glue. It does take just a little bit to dry. You can make some adjustments. There we go. And we're going to pop this up with dimensionals down here, and our card will be pretty much done. Okay, sunny California. Woohoo! All right, I'm going to use 2 dots. I'm going to use one of the half ones, a couple of the half ones over there. I like to use the edges when I need a little piece. There we go. They're like a half dimensional. All good. And we'll pop that up. Just like that. So there you go. What do you think? Do you like that? Yeah, I just love those flowers. I love pulling in those 3 colors there. So pretty much that's what I did for my sample. Right? So I had those. And then I said, well, I wonder what other colors we could do. Then you get in trouble, right? Well, you get in trouble, but it's freeing because you already have the design. Then all you have to do is substitute in some other colors. Now, if you wanted to, you could put some embellishments on there, and that could work. This one, by the way, I used the embossing folder that came with this suite, and it has these stripes. Now, this is where I was saying these dotted stripes here are quite raised, and there's a lot of contour here. So when I was putting this down, this one that was light especially, I wanted to make sure I didn't press into it. Otherwise, I would have seen those ridges through the designer paper. So if you have something that's you can really feel the highs and lows in it, then be careful with that. Just then mount it on cardstock, and it would lay a little bit flatter. So I wanted to make one with petal pink. And so I was looking at some of the different colors, and I didn't want to bring in too many. I didn't, you want to limit it. This one just has the 3, the olive, the dark blue, and the light blue. So didn't want to do too many of the other colors. But I liked this pattern here, but then I was thinking, well, it wasn't bringing in enough of the pink, and I didn't like the more bold pattern on here, because then that brought in some more of the Secret C, which I wasn't using. So, but I did like this. This is a whole sheet here. I did like this paper here. So I'm going to show you what I ended up doing. I tried this, and I love the look. I'm going to do it more often, and I just want you to be reminded this is another option too. If you have designer paper, but the colors aren't quite exactly the way you want them, then use your blends. I'm going to make some pink flowers out of these white flowers. So watch, I took my light petal pink and just went over those flowers, added a little shading. Okay, and it's okay to have some white space too, because that kind of looks like the light is hitting it. Isn't that pretty? Isn't it nice? Oh, thank you, thank you. And then I'm going to add some dark highlights to a little bit of more of the center radiating out, kind of just following those lines that are already on the paper itself. You can make them as dark or as light as you like. So now I have some paper that goes better with the petal pink. Isn't that pretty? I mean, this is nice too, but that just really ties in a little bit more. So this is what I ended up with. I used that same embossing folder, the beautiful pattern, and I colored in my flowers there, and that just really ties it all together. Just to use the white up here just wasn't enough pink because something was missing. And so I said, let me try coloring them, and that really ties it all together. I think that came out really pretty. So I offset my flowers there, and when I was playing around with the first card, I wasn't sure if I wanted the flowers stamped in cloud cover or secret C. So I did both, and I tried them out, and I, decided to go with the secret C. It was more, it showed up better. So then I had the flowers left that I had done with the cloud cover, and I thought, well, that might look pretty on this card because it's more soft and subtle. And so, like I said, there's always a way to use them up. So, but I didn't want them white, and I didn't want just too much blue here. We want to tie in the petal pink again. So let's color them. I already did this one. So I'm just going to start with the light. You can start with whichever way you want. Actually, you know what? I'll do half one way, half the other way, and you'll see it really doesn't matter so much. Okay, so this half of the flower, I'm going to do some in the middle too. I did the light color first, and then I'm going to do some highlighting with the darker. Like that. Okay, I think if you want more specific places for it to be highlighted, do it this way. Or you can do a little highlighting first, the darker color. And then when you go over it with a lighter color, it's going to blend it a little bit more. And you can always go over it again with the dark if you want specific lines to show up more clearly. Okay, so just wanting to keep that soft look. Okay, so I might actually do a little bit more highlight to those wrinkles in the petals there. All right, so then to mimic what's on here, I'm going to take a little bit of Secret C and touch up some little speckles in the middle. So I'm taking the firm tip. You could do whatever you like there, actually. I'm just going to make some little dots in the middle. And I might just try a couple little lines radiating out. I wish I had an even finer tip for those lines, but I think I'll just do that for now. More dots than lines. And then we can line that up on our card similarly as we did before. Now this one, just to be different, I did stamp the leaf in Old Olive, and I die cut that out. And then we can put that together just like that. And I said, well, why don't we try a bigger sentiment on this one? So I just happened to have this happy birthday from another card that I was making. And that is from the new Boardwalk Fun. This happy birthday here. It's actually bigger than what's pictured on the front. And this was cut out with, I'm forgetting the name of the die set, but that's okay. And I thought, well, maybe that could look nice right across there with dimensional. So I'm not going to take time to glue everything down right now. I will put the dimensionals on here because that's quick and easy. And I'll glue the flowers down later on, but you can see how that looks. So which one do you like better, the cloud cover or the petal pink? I will post pictures of them on Facebook. If you're on, then you can vote there as well. Okay, this is stamped in Secret C. And so there you go. We have that one. And we have that one. Okay, do you have a favorite color? Any other ideas? Yeah. Okay. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Debbie, Patty. All right. So anyway, I like them both. I can't decide. So I don't know why I expect you to be able to decide. Well, I'm just interested. Just interested. All right. And just as another reminder, these are the cards I did on Whip It Up Wednesday using the same stamps. Stamping all over a piece of cardstock, kind of like making your own DSP, they call it, and then taking white craft ink with a sponge dauber and just sponging a little of the white in the flowers to give it a little bit more contrast. And then this is to kind of kick it up more, make a frame, and add some designer paper in the back. So lots of ideas there. See how I just can't stop myself. Can't stop. Okay, last card. This one's super easy. If you are crafting along, this will go quickly. So we need a white card base and a colored layer. I'm using Secret C. I'm going to glue that down right away. And then kind of a variance on using those squares. I decided to, well, I said, well, instead of, I should burnish this a little better. Instead of using squares, what if we use circles? So I took out my 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and it just happened to fit on those 2-inch squares. But you can use whichever colors you want to, yeah, you don't have to use those squares is what I'm saying. Use whichever paper you want. You'll just want 6. So let me show you ahead of time where we're going with this. 6 circles, 6 different patterns. Just have them sort of coordinate, tie into each other in some way. Notice I have 2 that are in the crumb cake. I have 3 that have the old olive. This one has some of the cloud cover, and then I have the cloud cover ribbon. So they're all tying in some way, but keeping not too many colors as we go. All right, now you could always, if you wanted to, I don't have any die cuts or anything on here, but you could, like if you didn't have a pattern that was really stand out like a focal point, you can always just add something to pop up on one of those circles if you like. All right, so let's just punch out some circles and see what happens here. So this, you need 6 of them. And I was kind of thinking maybe trying different colors, but no, we're going to stick with what we have here. Actually, maybe I will try some different colors. Maybe I'll bring in some of the petal pink this time. All right, yeah, let's do that. I might color these in again too. So let's see. All right, so I'm going to make sure I get some of those pretty flowers in there. So there's one, and if I do another one, I'll have the back. Okay, so 2 of those gives me 2 different patterns. I like this one here that has some of the Secret C and the petal pink. Notice my 1 3/4 circle goes nicely on there. And the back of that, I love that pinstripe, so that could work nicely too. And we could either go with some old olive or some of the crumb cake. So just get a bunch of them and then just kind of mix and match. See where you end up, right? All right, so that one is the old olive. Not sure if we'll use that, but we'll have options. And then don't know if this one will be too much, but it's bringing in those colors. So let's see what happens. Where might I want to cut that? I guess maybe here. That's kind of good, but I don't want just that flower big in the middle. How'd you know? No, oh, there we go. I kind of like that. We have the leaves showing. Okay, a little bit offset is good. Get the tip of the leaf. Ta-da! There we go. We have the green on the other side if we want that. All right, I'm just going to cut one there in case you want the green. Then you kind of mix and match, right? And to see what you like. You want to bring in some of that Secret C. And you want to have offset where your colors are, right? So I have a bunch of green up there. I have two there. Let's put a blue. Oh, there's a lot of blue there too. See, you just kind of shuffle it around. I said it's kind of like rearranging your furniture in your house, right? Sometimes you have a vision, but you're not sure until you actually do it, and you shuffle things around, and you see what happens from there. All right, so that's a possibility. But anyway, so then just kind of rearrange your circles. Maybe I can color those in with my marker, my Stampin' Blends, to tie in more of that pink. Again, this design can go with any designer paper, right? It could be really fun. So even though that's kind of a little bit more mix and match, I might like it. Let's not sure I like these two next to each other because they're a similar flower. So you kind of play around with it a little bit. Maybe if I put that up on top and this below, that could be nicer. Yeah, I like that better, I think. Okay, so kind of play around with that. I like to use my grid paper up at the top here to center it. So my blue was 4 by 5 1/4, so I can go to 2 to 2 up here, find where my center is, or you can just eyeball it. You can decide to either put them close together, touching, and have a bigger border on the outside, or you can try to keep a similar border on the sides and the middle. You can decide if you want your stripes to be perfectly vertical or horizontal. This one I decided to purposely put on an angle just to seem a little bit more random. I think I kind of might do the same thing here. I would either like a vertical or I might just put it offset too. So let's glue these on real quick. Oh, you know what? I should not have glued that layer down because we should have wrapped the ribbon around there. Well, we'll have to manage now. So I'm putting this circle right up to the tippy top, and I'm putting the other one down to the tippy bottom, and then this one's going to fit exactly in the middle. So I like to do the top and the bottom first, and then the middle one. That way I know I have enough room, and if by chance the middle one needs to overlap a tiny bit, it's okay. Better than the top one or the bottom one being the oddballs off, right? Okay. Come on, Maureen. Hold on. Okay, decide what direction you want the flowers to go. And then they can go right there like that. All right, I'll show you a trick to doing that bow the way I did it on the other card, wrapping around the card layer, if you don't forget. That is. All right. Okay, thanks, Patty. Hello, Steve. I'm expecting you to make some nice cards with me one day. Steve is my neighbor. All right. This one's easy. Easy peasy. Okay, this linen weave actually has a direction as well. So I might offset that to also have that random look. Okay, so then you could put your sentiment across, and what you could do with the ribbon is, one thing, you can just take a piece and tie a knot and put it next to your sentiment. I won't take the time to do that right now, but unless I have something ready to go in my bin here, which is a possibility. I'm not going to use piece on this one, but let's pretend this has something written on it. Right? You can decide where you want that to go. I'm not going to cover that pretty flower, but you can always just put a little bow wherever you decide to put your sentiment. Okay, so that's up to you. So let me just show you the wrapping around the bow trick. Let me get a piece of designer. Let me get a colored piece of paper here. Where's my secret? Oh, here we go. All right, because this I will use another time. Here's my secret C. If I cut the layer to 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, let me go 5 1/4 first, and then 4. Okay. So I got my daisy things on today. I've got my logo shirt on that my friend Karen made me. My Stamped with Lorraine. And some other friends got me this beautiful pearl, handmade pearl pinky daisy ring. I love it. Love it. And my daughter gave me these earrings here. I don't know if you can see those, but got those for my birthday. Some little daisy hoops. So love them. Love, love, love them. Okay, so if you take your length of ribbon to exceed your cardstock by about 1 inch, we're going to wrap it around first. This is kind of like a faux bow. Sometimes it's hard to tie the whole bow like this and get it taut enough. If you have a friend to help hold it, but sometimes it's a little tricky to do that, and then sometimes it's loose. And also you're using more ribbon because you're wrapping around both sides completely, right? So this is a trick. If you don't want to tie an actual bow, you just want the knot, then go about 1 inch wider than the cardstock itself. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to put a little piece of tape on the back. Let me see. I'll make something else with this later. But let's say I want it about there. Flip it over. I'll put either some Tear tape or the Seal Plus, and then just wrap it around the back. Like so. And then I'm going to get my silicone mat here so it doesn't stick. No glue will stick to this. It just rubs right off eventually. So if I don't want to get my paper sticky, I'll do that. Then take a small piece, and we're just going to tie it around like that. So that's maybe another 3 inches or so, 3 or 4 inches. And then just tie a knot. I'll put this one on this side. Okay, just like that. Tie it nice and tight, and then trim it. Quick, easy way to do your bow. You don't have to tie it, or have a friend help hold it down. Whatever. Get my husband to do that sometimes. This one's a little long at angle. Here we go. That's better. All right, so I'll do something more with that later. So gave you lots of ideas today, guys. Lots and lots of ideas. I'll pull them out real quick and show you again. Follow my Facebook page and you'll see a lot of these pictured there. If you would like to craft along with me, next time I'll be doing April. So anybody who orders with me January through March can be invited to the craft along in April. Okay, I'm doing it by quarter. And oh, here we go. I think that came out pretty. I like that little hint of the with the petal pink in there, right? So I will finish that up later. And let's pull out these cards real quick. So we have the slider cards. And I had the green one someplace. Oh, no, the beige one. There it is. Right? I had the slider card. I make some room here. I think I could fit a lot of them in the camera view. Move the other stuff around. We had the ones with the white, filling in white craft ink. We had the squares that we did first today. And we have this, oh, here's the pink one. There we go. Oh, that's right, I didn't glue those down yet, right? There you go. Pretend. And we had that one in the pink. We had these using the full panel of the card. We have this one here. I'll just replace that up there. And then we have the circles. All right. Lots of ideas. And I hope you can enjoy playing around with this paper or using whatever you have to do some of these designs. All right. Yeah, it's a lot of choices. Hi, Kathy. Thank you so much. Well, you know what? Like was said earlier, the Stampin' Up paper really can do a lot. It's just beautiful. Like I said, try these with any of the paper. You'll probably be happy. I could see these done with the Cute as a Bug. Cut out some of the bugs and have some of the background papers here. You can do it with a Nature's Walk and put some, just some leaves or, more rustic elements on there. I could see using the gears and textures, using, again, some rustic paper and then putting some of those gears or those steam pump kind of look onto it. This certainly can be done with just about anything, right? So thanks everybody for watching. I know we went over today, but I showed you a lot of ideas. And if you didn't have time to stick around and watch the replay, take as much time as you want. Okay, stop, forward, back and forth, whatever. But I hope you try to make some of these cards, and I hope to see you again next time. Let me switch my view here. There we go. Hi. Hope I see you next time. We will be back on Friday, I believe, unless I have to reschedule my launch party. I'm seeing that I have a launch party for showing off new products, and we're going to do some make and takes, have some snacks, have some fun and games, and socialize with other stampers. It's going to be fun. However, I'm looking at the weather report. There is a slight chance of some snow, so in which case I will have to reschedule. So that might have to be Friday or the next Saturday. So pray that we're going to have some good weather, and we'll have to go from there. We have to be flexible in the winter, right? Hi, Tina. Thanks. I'm glad you like the cards. Okay, by the way, Tina came, and Susan, who is Susan still on here? Susie, this says Susie Realtor. You both are living in the same area right now. So maybe at some point, if you're looking to hook up and stamp with each other, I can arrange that. Just let me know. Okay, yeah, you're about 20 minutes from each other, I think. Or close. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining in, and see you next time on Coffee and a Card.